All right. Good morning. Welcome to the wake up call. How's everyone feeling out of 10?
Good morning. I would say, how about a 4? 4 out of 10. Let's
A
go.
4 out of 10. I'm feeling fantastic. I'm feeling a 10 out of 10 because I get to drink water again. So that's amazing.
Yes.
Uh,
Congrats.
if you're new here, we go over the crypto news and analysis. Um, myself and Alex. So without any further ado, let's get into it.
All right.
Let me pull up my thing here. I didn't go into present mode. All right. So we got the wake up call. And the top story, obviously, was the SEC officially dropping the Ripple lawsuit. This is a big deal.
Big deal. I mean, my goodness, for more than 4 years. And of course, I mean, I just, listen, I'm not a part of the XRP army. I don't hate XRP, but like, it was ridiculous when it happened. I mean, it was like, hey, the bull run is going to happen right now, and now we're going to drop this massive lawsuit. This was back in 2020 on Ripple, and now it's over finally. Now, so we saw some price action. We saw a decent pump, but it seems like the market had already priced that in by and large. But whatever the
Yeah.
case, good. It's over. It's a good thing.
Yeah, you bring up a good point. And I think that the interesting thing was, and I say this all the time: trade the news and you will lose. This idea that you're going to get an advantage over the rest of the market by trading narratives and trading news it's not going to happen. And I think it was the most expected thing in the world, where the SEC is finally done and Ripple is just chopping still. Now, I
Yeah.
think that long term for XRP, this is going to be a good thing. And long term, like, I'm more confident about my $5 to $8, maybe $12 targets for XRP. But long term, like, it's still, that's what people were already asking me. Like, have you moved the goalpost on your targets? I have not. I have not. But this is a good thing. I'm grateful that, they spent the hundreds of millions of dollars to really fight crypto
Yeah.
regulation like they did. Um, that was pure tyranny, in my opinion. And like, love or hate XRP, you have to be grateful from a crypto perspective that they were the ones that dug their heels and fought the good fight, so to speak.
Well done, Ripple.
All right, Trump tells Digital Asset Summit attendees the U.S. is going to dominate crypto.
Yeah, man, that's amazing. Who would have ever thought that Donald Trump would say something about the US dominating in any particular thing? It's like, if there's anything that's going to be priced into some crypto summit that Donald Trump is attending, then that's it. That, of course, the US is going to dominate crypto, because the US is going to dominate everything. We're going to dominate Canada, we're going to dominate Greenland, Gulf of America, not Gulf of Mexico. And so let's get with the program, guys. Trump got COVID a few years ago, and he dominated COVID. So, all right, enough skepticism. It's like, I'm so burnt out on anything Donald Trump crypto. Let's just can we? I heard that he was going to be at that thing, and I was like, all right, please, no, just don't go. So anyway.
Yeah. My opinions on it, like, so when you watch the video, he talked a little bit about crypto. He talked a little bit about Bitcoin. But what he talked a lot about was the US dollar dominance. And what he talked a lot about was stable coins. And I made a video talking about, like, hey, remember that thing, the big bad boogeyman that we were all scared of in 2022 about CBDCs and world domination and taking over? And you have to get your chip or you're not going to be able to buy things. Like, remember all that? To me, short term, this is great for crypto, and I think that this is bullish for crypto, short term and medium term. Long term, however, this brings up some things that are worrisome to me. Of, like, this is CBDCs to me just repackaged and rebranded into crypto domination.
Yeah. Cool.
All right, Solana. The first Solana futures ETF in the United States set to begin trading yesterday.
Yesterday.
Uh,
Okay.
yesterday. So this is already live. You can set up your 401k on some Solana ETFs if that's what you're into, and give BlackRock your
Yeah.
money.
We have seen historically spot ETFs, at least for Bitcoin. I mean, the Ethereum one's been a dud, but spot ETFs have been a better play for us, better for the market than futures ETFs. If you remember, I mean, I don't think that this was a top call or a topping moment, but I think it was more of a coincidence. A Bitcoin futures ETF launched on November 10th of 2021, which was the day of the peak. And so, you know, it's a thing. It's another thing. It's not something that I'm jumping on the rooftops and screaming about. But cool, Solana futures ETF.
I actually did a backflip off the rooftop
Oh
after I
man,
heard this news. No, it's something. It's not nothing, but it's something.
Yeah.
All right, Bull or Bear? Solana will outperform Bitcoin over the next year.
Ooh. I gotta, man. I'm gonna say bull. It's not like I'm sitting here just like, oh yeah, 100%, 100% Solana is gonna outperform Bitcoin over the year. Like it depends on how well we do. That's the big thing. If we have the bull run to end all bull runs, surely Solana is going to outperform Bitcoin. If we just kind of flame out from here, then no, Solana is very much not going to outperform Bitcoin. So,
So what you're saying is, if we go up, Solana
Yes.
will outperform. If we go down, Solana will not.
correct.
All right. Well, I think Solana will outperform Bitcoin over the next year. I don't think it's going to be like a huge margin.
Yeah.
My target for Bitcoin is about 138K, as high as 207K, which is basically a double. And my target for Solana is like $300 to $500, which is like a triple. So I don't think it's going to be this crazy wide margin of life-changing money, but it could be car-changing money. So, all right, Bull or Bear? Bitcoin will hit $150,000 before any major alt season happens.
I am a bull on that. If we're defining it as a major alt season, you know, we can have an altcoin run. We had an altcoin run in March of 2024, in December of 2024. We could have an altcoin run before Bitcoin hits 150K, but Bitcoin, yes, I believe Bitcoin would hit 150K before a major 2021 or 2018 type alt season. The question then is, when will Bitcoin hit 150K? And I think Devin and I would express a little bit of disagreement on that. So,
I don't know. November is when I think that the full peak is. You're saying early 2026.
I'm not saying early 2026. I'm saying no. I would not say early 2026. I think that's too soon.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, then we disagree. Yeah, I think that this is true. I think we'll have a run of sorts between now and May. I'm predicting a 50% move in the total 3, which is, I don't even think that's an all-time high, or it's barely an all-time high, which is going to be a lot for a lot of different coins. You're definitely going to feel that on some coins, and some coins won't perform that well, you know. But I do think that that's true. Getting it to the 2618, which is about 138K for Bitcoin, that's when you really start to have your big altcoin run. And I talked about this in yesterday's live stream, and I'll bring it up again. But, you know, I overlaid from the C19 crash till that first big bear trap in Bitcoin. And then I had Bitcoin on the top, and I had the total 3 on the bottom. And what you'll notice is, from that same time, Bitcoin does a 10x, but the total 3 is relatively flat. I mean, it did have really good gains, but relatively, it was completely flat. And it wasn't until we had that big bear trap when it actually started to run at a significant rate. And I think that, you know, one could argue that's kind of what we're seeing right now.
Yeah.
Overrated, underrated. ETH layer 2s, overrated or underrated, Alex?
I'll say underrated. You know, there's certainly some layer 2s that are very helpful in the potential of keeping ETH alive over the next several decades. You know, not several decades, couple of decades. You know, And so, I mean, like, for example, Base, Base transacting in Ethereum on Base is seamless, it's easy, and it's needed. And so, yeah, underrated.
I think it's underrated too. Not that many people are bullish on layer twos. Like when I go live, I'll hear some, Matic. I'll hear some arbitrage. I'll hear like different coins. I'll hear some, but it's not nearly the rate of everything else. And I do think that these coins are going to perform well. And it's just simply just because of Ethereum's lack of speed and so I think there's a big need for it, and the expense to the
Yeah,
transaction fees. Overrated, underrated.
yeah, definitely.
Telegram trading bots.
Underrated. It's not like I'm in love with Telegram trading bots. It's useful, but when I think of Telegram trading bots, I think of like, all right, someone is in their Telegram group going to drop this super hot meme coin that's going to go to multiple millions of dollars in market cap, and so I'm going to buy that meme coin as quickly as possible. And so, yes, you can use a Telegram trading bot to buy that as quickly as possible if that's what you want to do. I don't think that that's the thing to do right now, and so sure, underrated.
I'm gonna say overrated because I don't think it's the thing to do right now, and I don't really believe in trading bots in general, because we talked about off camera or off stream. The book that you're reading, the biggest variable is you,
Yeah,
and it's like trading bots. I don't think that they work over a long enough period of time because the secret is discretion. You know what I mean? Anything can work, but the variable is the human emotion and the human nature. And the bots work until they don't, is what I've seen. And then when
sure.
they don't, it's not good.
So are you referring to automatic trading bots?
Yes,
Oh, all right. No, forget about
sniper
that.
bots. I mean, sure, sniper bots too. Like that's cool, but again, like I'm with you. Like I don't think the move right now is to buy brand new coins. Like I have no interest in any
Yeah,
coin that's not at least 6 months old.
yeah, for sure.
Period. Charge to crypto. So
Okay.
let you lead it off.
All right. So I'm on Bitcoin. I mostly want to talk about the total too, but Bitcoin, I'm a little, I'm disappointed. I was very hopeful after the Fed meeting, or before leading up to the Fed meeting. I was very hopeful that Bitcoin would show some strength, that we'd see some nice volume. You can see, I mean, man, the 200-day moving average. This is, I pay attention to the simple moving average much more than the EMA for the 200 at least. And we were just chopping along the 200-day as resistance. And then the day of the Fed meeting, the day of Ripple, the SEC dropping the Ripple suit, we did have a nice solid break through the 200-day, but then we were right back down and we lost it. And the thing that I'm not in love with is just the volume is so low. And so we need something else now. I mean, I don't want to say, just listen, my line's in the sand, 75,000, around 75,000, the 50-week moving average, and 95,000. Can that happen just at any point where we have a big high volume breakthrough? It certainly can. Not sure what that's going to look like for the short term, but there can be a breakthrough on that. Now, total two is the big, I said, I want to talk about. Because we did break through the trend line, at least. This is the minimum requirement that I have as far as when I am going to enter re-enter spot buys. So again, I'm not a believer in buying the dip and DCAing. I am a believer in entering at the right time. Now, again, volume was very low on this breakthrough, and so I'm drawing out. I have two scenarios drawn out, one much more favorable than the other. No matter what, I am quite convinced that a back test of this trend line was in order. And so the trend line is very close to being revisited. I am waiting, at the very least, again, minimum requirement, waiting for a back test of the trend line. But what my most bullish scenario and my most bearish scenario are laid out in front of us. And the blue line, for those of you watching on YouTube, is what I'm afraid could happen short term. and then we'll see what happens after that. So blue line, we continue to bounce off the trend line, just keep on bouncing, putting lower lows, and then eventually just chopping for the next several weeks. And then, after that, we could go higher. I just mapped it out for like a month, the next month. The red line is, nice back test, multi-day back test of the trend line, putting in a base, forming a higher low, which would be great, forming a higher low, and then breaking through that high from the day of the Fed meeting, breaking through the high, putting in a higher high, higher low, and then we're off. So that's what I'm monitoring right now. I am pretty agnostic as to where I think things are going, but I'm not in love with how low the volume was on the breakthrough. And so we've seen plenty of cryptos have similar low volume breakthroughs. Let me pull up Pendle, and then I'll yield the floor to you, Devin. But Pendle did that exact same thing. Pendle broke through low volume, broke through the downtrend, and then just kept on bouncing off the trend line for support. If you're a real monkey, you could go to YouTube and watch what I'm talking about, World War Bitcoin or your boy Ski. And then maybe, eventually, hopefully Pendle is on its way to moving up now, but it's still in lower high, lower low territory. So there's my thoughts.
So all right, I'm looking at Bitcoin right now, and I'm on the 5 hour. I use the 5 hour.
5 hour. Okay.
So I use 3 and 5. But that's as low as I go on a time frame, and I really like to visualize the 5 hour. Generally, is about as low of a time frame as I like to go. And I like to spend a lot of time on the daily, the 3 day, the 5 day, the weekly, 2 weekly, etc. So I would say on the daily, we haven't quite. I mean, we're kind of in an uptrend at micro, but nothing crazy. And then we got rejected off of the 200 EMA. So if we lose this, that's not going to be good. But I think that we need to get daily body closes above the 200 EMA, which is about $85,000 right now. That's what I would like to see for confirmation. But on the 5 hour, which, you have to do it on a smaller time before you can do it on a bigger time, I'm actually kind of encouraged with this setup here. The last time we talked, I talked about my theory of like, if you take this out, what to me was just clearly just insider trading, not even market manipulation, just insider trading. Take out this huge pump and dump here. And what you have is you kind of have a structure of Wyckoff accumulation of your selling climax. And I would say that this was your automatic rally or your automatic reaction. And then your secondary test goes lower than the selling climax. And from here, we're getting higher low, higher low, higher low, potentially if this holds above 81. So the last time we pulled back, I said I wanted to see it hold above 79. We held above 79. So now I would like to see this low, this be a continuation of a higher low. So 81.3 is what I would like to see hold. And we're also getting micro on the 5 hour higher highs at the same time. On the macro time frame, it's about 85,000 daily body. That's the line in the sand for me. Closing above there would be, you would now flip the 200 EMA as resistance as support. And when we look on the daily, it's kind of been flirting with it, just like it's been toting the line on the 200 simple, but on the 200 EMA, we haven't quite broke above it yet. So this is, I mean, you could even say that this is a rejection. We'll see if this makes a lower low or not. And then the bigger level is about 88,000, would put us in the most bullish posture on the 5 hour, and that would be a clean reversal. And then you would take out this high over here. Would be the last thing. And then, like you said, 95,000. We're kind of in agreement with that. 95,000 daily body closes, to me, holding that as support would signal a continuation. Ultimately, I think that we're going to make a pretty big move between now and May in the total 3. That's not like, necessarily going to be life-changing money. This is it. Put in $20 now and you'll be able to have your Lambo by June. That's not what I'm saying, but relatively compared to the stock market, I do think that there's going to be some pretty big moves. And what I talked about last night on my stream, and I'll just show it for you here. I'll pull up this chart because it's a little bit cleaner. What I talked about last night on my stream here, I already got it circled. No, I don't. But what I have what we're going to talk about is the C19 crash. What I believe this is a macro bear trap. And confirmation would be daily body closes above 95,000 would confirm my thesis. That has not been confirmed yet, just to be clear. It has not been confirmed yet, but daily bodies above 95 would confirm my thesis. And actually, yeah, let's do it on top like this. So I'm going to pull up the total 3 and show you. So the total 3, if you don't know, I don't want to insult anyone's intelligence, but it's basically everything that is not Bitcoin and Ethereum. To me, this is what I'm measuring as the altcoins, right? So we're going to pull up the same time frame over here. I already have it circled. And I'm going to circle it on here so you can see what I'm talking about. This is the same time frame. If you look at how it's moving together, this bear trap over here, where Bitcoin makes an all-time high, this whole show, and I've talked about this 100 times, this entire show from the bear trap, or from the C19 crash to the bear trap, is what I'm calling this, was all about Bitcoin. Bitcoin did a 10x during that time. It did a 10x during this time. And you could see how much more violently it's moving than the total 3. And you might have been saying like, oh, alt season's canceled. No alt season back then. But when we look at the total 3 during the same exact time frame, it's up. It's on an uptrend, but it's relatively flat. It's basically the same price as the bear market lows, as you can see. It wasn't until after we pulled back, and what happened was, and I think that we're starting to show signs of this, Bitcoin continued to pull back. As you can see, like the white line is moving together. Let me put this perfectly so we can see what I'm talking about. Bitcoin continues to pull back after the total 3 pulls back, but then total 3 starts moving up as Bitcoin is moving down. Or yes, as Bitcoin is continuing to move down. When Bitcoin reversed right here, that's when it was all about altcoin season. That's when it was all, I don't want to say altcoin season, but that was all about the altcoins. Bitcoin only did a 1x from here. But when we zoom out from the chart, you'll see like this is when things went crazy for the total 3. Like, look at that. This is the same time right here. So everyone who's like, alt season's canceled, there's just too many coins or whatever. It's like, well, this is the same thing that we did last time. And I'm not saying there's obviously going to be differences every single bear market and every single bull market. Nothing is actually going to be the same, but we do have a lot of the same sort of setup in the total 3. And I'm not saying that we're going to, go to the top between now and May, but I do think a big move, 50% relatively, is a pretty big move. And same thing for the total 3. It actually looks healthier on the daily than even Bitcoin right now. And it seems to be forming this, like, I'm not a huge patterns guy, but this is a bull flag. And what we would want to see is a breakout and a back test. And that would be confirmation of that. So I think about 1.2 trillion, which is, barely an all-time high between now and May, I think is what's going to happen.
Yeah, I am. That's my bias. I don't know. I don't have specific numbers that I've been looking at in particular. But I think the weekly time frame is still very much a time frame that I would say is favorable to a move higher instead of lower. The monthly, so what does that mean? That means we've got a month or two, a couple months. So I want to address a comment that I see here. From Josh Schmidt. Could you post that in the chat or on the video?
Yep.
So, all right. So Josh says, I respect that you both have some sort of confidence in your statements, but I don't see how we can begin to try to predict anything when all it takes is a comment in the news to destroy everything. So really interesting that you say that right now, because I am going to eventually, it happens once a year. It's too late for 2025, but in 2026, I'm going to take an exam called a CMT exam. It's a technical analysis exam. You can get official title as a CMT, and so I've been doing some prep work for that. And here is the most basic rule that you need to understand about market manipulation. This comes from Charles Dow, okay? And that is rule number one, the most basic rule. The primary trend is inviolate. So there may be market manipulation. There may be market manipulation that will send things short term in wild directions, but the primary trend remains the same. It is inviolate. And so there is, when you think about manipulation, I think people tend to give too much credit to the powers that be and what they can do to move the markets. They can move it on smaller time frames, but not on larger. So Devin, you have the chart, the news chart.
This is the trade the news and you will lose chart. Whatever the narrative was perpetuated to us, and Alex can testify as he was a content creator during the same time, separately of me, but everyone and their mother said that. So this was the true selling climax of the market right here, like especially for the total 2, total 3. Most of the altcoins bottomed right here at the Luna collapse. Everyone said we were going to 10K. FTX, same thing. Everyone said we were going lower. That's when within a week, me and Alex both were publicly bullish after this time, buying Bitcoin. Silicon Valley Bank, Bitcoin crashes from 25,000 back to 20,000. The whole entire reason that Bitcoin exists in the first place. What was the narrative? The narrative that was perpetuated to us was, well, the banking is underwater, so we're all going to be screwed. Bitcoin's going to 12K, 10K. Trust me this time. The war in Israel, Bitcoin crashes from 31,000 back to 25,000. I made a video. This is what a local bottom feels like. Here's XYZ reason why on 9/12/2023. You can go look at the videos. All my videos are public. I have not taken a single video down. I live and die by my sword. But yeah, everyone said, oh, for real this time, we're going to 20K. Bitcoin cannot possibly survive World War III. That was the narrative that was being perpetuated to us. The Bitcoin ETF got passed at the local top. This is it. We're going to 100K. Bull market starts today. That was the local top. Germany, Mt. Gox, local bottom. Japan changes the rates, whether they cut it or whatever happened. I don't know. There's debate on that. But they changed the rates. And everyone was saying, economic recession, gloom and doom, we're cooked. And that was a local bottom. So I have the chart, trade the news, you will lose. And the same thing is true in the reverse. Like XRP's lawsuit just ended. Why isn't XRP at $100 million already? It's barely moved. And that's because I don't think you get an advantage over trading the news. And I would say too, specifically to the tariffs, which is like the biggest gloom and doom thing. It's the same thing with the war. Okay. The wars that happen was the same thing. The war in Ukraine was over here. And then the war in Israel was the same thing. It's like, this is a scary narrative that the markets react to until they don't.
Yeah.
Until they're finally used to it. And then it's just another thing. What the markets don't like is uncertainty. But if you're certainly uncertain, it only lasts for so long. So the fact that, Trump is tweeting tariffs 67 times a day, what seems like, eventually, sooner or later, tomorrow, next week, next month, next year, I don't know. But eventually the markets are going to get used to that. And it's no longer going to be a negative thing.
And, all right, I'm trying to process this from, well, you just brought up tariffs. What does the market do? Is that a catalyst? Let's say the tariffs, let's say the trade war's over in April or something like that. What do you think happens? I mean, I would think at least a move up. I have my perspective as far as where the S&P is and I do believe that he is going to start it in the beginning of a new downtrend that's going to last for several months, and so that it would go back up to $6,000, and then but we'll see. There's some people who I really respect who believe that we need that the end, that we're close to the end, to an end. I shouldn't say the end, but an end, at least in the stock market. But what they're expecting is a low volume pump to new all-time highs before.
Yep.
And so we'll see.
I think that's the camp that I'm in. I think that the stock market, and I've been on this for a while, but I mean, the stock market is so macro. It's been here for 100 years. The problem with analyzing the stock market on a huge macro time frame like that is in our brains, it moves way quicker than we think, but the moves actually take years to play out. So my bias is they're going to artificially pump up the stock market as long as they can. And I think it's going to play out to where we're trading at the same range. Let me pull up the S&P, where we're going to trade at the same range here. Like you said, a low volume all-time high will probably take us into 2026, and then just work on distribution into 2028, 2029. That's what I think.
2029.
That's what I think. So yeah, that's the big one for me. And what I personally think is going to do well during these times is precious metal.
Oh yeah.
Land and Bitcoin.
Yeah. I've been really fascinated. So I made this video yesterday. If you could pull up my screen real quick, Devin, let me go to Bitcoin Gold. Maybe not Bitcoin Gold. Let me pull up the stock market. Let me the Dow Jones priced in gold. So I made a video the other day. I need to get out of the 4-hour chart. I'm one of those weird people who does 4-hour instead of 5-hour. That's sarcasm.
Most people do. Most people do.
I know.
I'm the weirdo.
I know you are. I was joking. But but are we in a bubble? If you look at the stock market, if you look at Bitcoin and you're measuring that in dollars, you're obviously going to say that we are in a bubble, but you should not be measuring it in dollars, because I'm telling you guys, the US dollar is the biggest bubble. It's a bigger bubble than anything else right now. And you might hear me say that, but I'm telling you guys, like, if you think about the 1929 peak and then the stock market crash that led to the Great Depression, what you got to remember is that the US dollar was pegged to gold, and it was $20.67 to redeem for 1 ounce of gold. It was fixed at that point, and then they raised it to $35 in 1933, and then from 1933 to 1971 it was $35. So that US dollar in 1929 was not a bubble. And so what I've been switching to in my mindset was, are we in a bubble? Well, yes, the US dollar, but pricing everything in gold just like it was priced in gold in 1929. All right, and if you look at that, here's the Dow Jones priced in gold. When did the Dow Jones peak? Believe it or not, it peaked in 2018. So 2018 for the Dow Jones. Let's look at the NASDAQ. The NASDAQ peaked in 2021. And actually, I think the exact date here is November 10th of 2021. The NASDAQ peaked in its price of gold. If that sounds familiar, the NASDAQ, the Bitcoin's peak in November of 2021 was on November 10th. The S&P 500 priced in gold, it peaked in December of 2021. And then you have a lot of stocks here that if you were to just price those things in gold, what you would see is that we have we're pretty oversold, and we have some room to do something, at least in terms of the price of gold, to do something. I'm not saying we're going to go beyond our 2021 peak for the NASDAQ or the S&P, or the 2018 peak for the Dow, but there's a course correction that I think is coming. And for Bitcoin, even so, Bitcoin priced in gold, it barely put in a new all-time high recently. That move over $100,000 was just barely an all-time high. So
I think it at least gets to the 1618 personally.
Priced in gold.
Yes.
Yeah, it's possible. Yeah, that's what I think. It's hard to say what the dollar would be when the dollar amount would be when gold is a shifting amount and Bitcoin itself. So
Yeah. I think you know, if you're an analyst or you like to look at charts, I think measuring things in gold is something to add to your repertoire for
yeah,
sure, because that's the true price. You know, for 2000 years that's been the price. Gold doesn't actually go up in value. It holds the purchasing power for 2000 years.
yeah.
So relatively short term, I think that gold is overbought right
Yeah.
now in this
Mhm.
very short term, and I think that the stock market is oversold. But long term, I don't think so. Someone asked me why am I drinking? My 36-hour fast is over. So I didn't drink any water or eat any food for. I didn't drink anything, any liquids, and I didn't eat any food for 36 hours. And I got to be honest, that was harder than my 9-day water fast. That was tough. So I am rehydrating right now.
Hey, and also, how about you don't gatekeep drinking? I'm not talking to you.
Yeah. I made a similar video back in, I think it was 2022 or 2023 maybe, where, but I didn't measure it in gold. I measured stuff in Bitcoin, and I
Okay.
said the everything bubble, because back in 2023, like, we were fresh out of a proper recession. 2022 was a proper recession, even
Yeah.
though they changed the definition. And 2023, I was like very, very bullish that whole entire year. But the sort of like economic narrative was we're heading into a recession. And I'm like, that doesn't make sense because we just had one. I know that they changed
Yeah.
the definition as to what one was, but you don't get them back to back like that. And so I made this video called The Everything Bubble Is Not Happening, at least the way you think it is. And
Yeah.
I said the same thing because we're measuring things that itself is in a bubble. Like, you know, essentially the United States inflation, even though it's not reported this way, because we know that inflation is the most like baloney thing that they measure in all of history. But really, if you get down to brass tacks, every 4 years, the supply of debt increases by um, by a double. Every 4 years, the inflation, the national debt doubles. Money is debt. That's why
Yeah.
when you get a home loan, when you get a car loan, when you get credit cards, why is there's no taxes on that? Why is there no taxes on it? Because you're helping them perpetuate the system. Money is debt. So, I mean, it was all from the very beginning an IOU for gold. It's all debt. So if the debt doubles every 4 years, what does that actually mean? It means that inflation doubles every 4 years, which is an insane, absurd compounding rate. So itself is in a bubble. I agree, but I did the same thing, but I measured it instead of gold. I measured it in Bitcoin, and I said it's already popped.
Yeah. Now, yes, 100% agreed with everything you just said. I'm looking at the Dow Jones right now, and you know, if we're going to repeat 1929, I mean, I think what a lot of people need to have in their brains is like the bubble, the peak of that bubble was 2018, and here we are. It's 7 years later. Now, all right, you want to measure in the S&P or the Nasdaq. The peak of that bubble was 2021. I mean, if you look back on 2021, the level of euphoria was so much more significant than it is now. And so maybe, and I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, you have your 2029 timeline. I wouldn't be surprised if, like, you know, at or around 2029, the stock market priced in gold was down as much. Priced in gold was down as much as it was in after the, you know, the roaring 20s.
Yeah.
So, but what does that mean? That means I really think this could be our future. You know, $10,000 gold, which sounds exciting, but it's not, because that means everything else is a lot more expensive too, and fuel prices being more than double what they are right now. I think that's in our future at the end of the decade. So,
Yep. I have the same. I have the same thesis. Like, you know, I buy Bitcoin. Like, I don't really trade Bitcoin like that. I just accumulate Bitcoin because that's how I save my money, and I buy precious metals every week,
yeah,
regardless, because that's what I save my money in.
Yep. I mean, dollars in the bank, it's painful. It's like
You're
it's
literally
yeah.
punished.
Yeah.
You're punished for saving money. And
Well,
I don't even save my I don't even like my gold that I accumulate. I don't even view this as like an investment. I view it as a savings account.
yeah. Yeah.
Because I think even if it goes up to 10,000, well, what that really means is the purchasing power is the same.
Do
As
you
it
do you
is.
have a place where you purchase precious metals from?
Yes. I don't know how it is in the UK. I've been asked this question before. I don't know how it is in the UK, but in the United States, you can just Google coin shop, and these are reputable
Yeah.
places, and they have to legally sell you gold and silver. And if they sell you something that's not, they legally have to buy it back from you. So that's where I always go, and I try to make a relationship with the one in my town, so that he knows what I look for, he
Yeah.
knows what I like, and he sometimes he'll call me up and say, "Hey, I got these in," and he'll give me a good deal and stuff.
Nice. Hey,
When
sorry, switching subjects a little bit. Comment here. Can't believe how bearish you are in XRP, bro. $12. Just saying. And then look at the number in this person's username.
listen, my price has been 5, 8, 12 since 2022. I was accumulating at about 30 cents. So at 30 cents, when I said
Yeah,
$5, $8, $12, everyone was like, "My
you're
God,
crazy.
you're
Yeah,
insane."
yeah.
But now that we're at 250, bro, why are you so bearish? Okay, like if we go to 589, it doesn't mean what you think it means.
Yeah, it means gold is like $100,000 an ounce or something like that.
Yeah.
Hey, well, why are you drinking, Devin? All
Uh-oh.
right. I'm just kidding. Well, all right. Other questions. Let's see. Is actual gold better to buy than an ETF? I buy the ETF.
I did see, that's where I
only buy the
disagree.
ETF. All right.
I have, so just like what they say in crypto, I have a personal, and this is maybe like, my own personal, just like I don't trust institutions, I don't trust governments.
Yeah.
This is the what you call it, the not right, not left. What is it?
I don't know what you're saying.
Libertarian. This is the libertarian in me. Just having a lack of trust in authority and governments and institutions and things like that. Just because like they just have a track record of not doing what they say they're going to do, and they have a track record of not, you know, being accountable. So for me personally, I have the same philosophy with crypto as I do with gold and silver, and that is not your keys, not your crypto. We know that in crypto, well, it's the same thing. If you don't physically possess it, it's yours on paper until it's not. You know what I mean? And it's like inevitably when things go bad, who is the person, institution going to choose? Are they going to choose you or them? Who would you choose? I choose me. So I physically buy silver and gold, but I like it too. It's fun to me to like
Yeah.
to it's like it's more of a hobby as well as a distrust. But yeah, so that's me personally. But
So you're 100% right, and I buy the ETF and gold.
there you go. That's my
Yeah.
personal philosophy, and I sleep good at night knowing that you know, if someone wants my gold, they got to pull up, and I like that. So. So that theory works on any stock. What theory?
Yeah, I have no idea. Oh, maybe the gold. Is that what you're talking
It
about?
worked. Yeah, it really works in anything, because what we're really saying too, what we're really saying is 2,000 years ago, like get down to brass tacks. 2,000 years ago, 1 ounce of gold equaled a fine man suit. So a nice
Yeah.
guy could buy a very nice suit with 1 ounce of gold. And today, 1 ounce of gold equals a fine man suit. most likely 2,000 years from now, 1 ounce of gold will equal a fine man suit. So really, when we see volatility in gold and up, down, sideways, what we're really measuring, in my opinion, is volatility in the US dollar. But actually, gold is a constant.
Yeah. So, I mean, I pulled up the Magnificent Seven. I added that to my trading view here. And, here's the Meta chart. Meta peaked in its price of gold a couple weeks ago, just a few weeks ago. And I would say that looking at this chart, Meta is overbought. It's I mean, maybe not on the daily chart, but just like a broader timeline, I would not be excited about Meta. And then Nvidia last year, I would say, I mean, you want to buy Nvidia because you believe it's the future. AI is the future. I understand that, and maybe you want to DCA into Nvidia. That makes sense. I mean, I think Nvidia, especially even priced in dollars, is rolling over, and it is in late stage, mid stage distribution or something like that. So
That's what I was just going to say. It looks like distribution, just
yeah, in gold and in dollars. So I mean, it's like it's helpful. It's just like, I mean, Devin said, it's a tool. It's a tool to add to your arsenal. So
so if you can't physically hold the stock, it's not worth buying. Well, I'll tell you, I'm way more bullish on gold than I am the stock market. In fact, we made a video the last time we were live. We said that over the next 10 years, we were in agreement that gold will outperform the stock market.
Significantly.
Like,
all right, let me pull up the other direction.
And while you do that,
go ahead.
And it's not because, and like what I think we're going, like, I don't know what is going to cause the big one. But if I had to sit here and speculate, I would say it's shenanigans from institutions. And then not having what they say they have, not having the money that they say they have, i.e. FTX.
Yeah. So, I mean, all right. I know that gold is, it's not even like, I wouldn't say it's a hot topic lately, but it's a lot more on people's radars. But if you look at it priced in the Dow Jones, I mean, it peaked in 2011. I remember 2011 because I was huge into precious metals in 2011. That was my baptism into the market because I bought the peak of silver at $50 an ounce because I was convinced it was going to go to $1,000 an ounce. That was just, early on investing, had to earn my chops. But like, this most recent move up to $3,000 gold, if you look at it on this chart, it's a blip. Yeah, I mean, you really can't even, I mean, you can see it's been bullish lately, but it has a lot higher to go still in comparison to the Dow Jones. Maybe that means the Dow Jones goes down to $30,000 or something, or maybe it means that gold skyrockets, or maybe both, so.
Someone's asking my thoughts on Crow, what they recently did. I don't love it.
It's not, yeah, me neither.
It's not great. I don't understand how you can unburn something that you can't. You can is the thing. So what they did was shady. So we'll see. I'll see how the chart. I mean, the chart still looks fine. It hasn't broken any structure or anything like that. But I definitely don't love it. I think it's more likely to only retrace because of it. But we'll all forget about it when it's rocking and rolling. That's how quickly things go. Just like Solana. Solana was down, 3 or 4 times. The main net, not the test net, the main net. 3 or 4 times it was down, and we forgot all about it when it made a new all-time high. So
yeah,
that's my thoughts.
I'm with you. I don't like it. Any analysis that I've done on crypto.com, I'm throwing it out the window. And I did make a video talking about crypto.com and one other crypto, and it's just whatever I said in that video, it's invalidated, honestly. But market turns around like crazy, then we're all gonna forget it, like you say.
Ski, based on your what you're saying, what you're getting out of, basically he's asking me, I'm having a hard time reading it, but he's asking me, because of my 2029 thesis, am I getting out of my alt positions? I will definitely be consolidating, and I'm always heavy in bear market into Bitcoin. Bitcoin is my biggest holding still, but especially in the bear market, I accumulate Bitcoin way more because it comes down historically the least and it goes up first. So I think you protect yourself both downside and to the upside, being heavy into Bitcoin
Yeah.
first. And I saw that a lot with people who were following me um, early on. Is like they didn't have any Bitcoin, and it was in the depths of the bear market. And it's like Bitcoin already bottomed, and it's making rallies, but the altcoins weren't.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll have some altcoins because I think that, if Bitcoin survives, then there's going to be some cryptos. There's going to be a baptism, right? There's going to be the fake get revealed, but I think there's going to be some real ones that are going to do well. So yeah, I'll have some crypto as well. So is it over? No. We're talking about 2029.
Yeah. I think there always needs to be definitions of over, it was over in December, but does that mean over for a year, for 5 years? No. Just like, it was over in March of 2024 and then we came back.
Right. Just like it was over in January of 2021. Bitcoin made a new all-time high, and that was a bear trap. It was over. And then it crashed 36%. People are literally losing their jobs in the stock market if that happens. And this was not a short amount of time either. The first pullback was 28% in 6 days. And then it eventually skidded another 10%. That's significant. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If Bitcoin survives.
Did you say something? You might have said something that triggered that.
No, I'm telling you what I believe is going to survive the Bitcoin, or the big one is Bitcoin, land, precious metals,
and some altcoins.
Some altcoins, yeah. I shouldn't say it survives. Like everything's going to survive, but thrives. I think thrives would be a better.
I mean, it's like, Amazon was trading at $100 a share in December of 1999. It went down to $4 a share in 2002. And and did it survive? I would say yes, it did.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the crazy thing too. When you think about that, and they've had multiple splits since then too. So realistically, they've done crazy numbers. But yeah, Amazon during the .com bubble crashed 90% 4 different times. This isn't a meme coin. This is the thing that runs the world. Crashed 90% 4 different times. So yeah, to keep it in perspective for you. But I think it's very similar actually to the .com bubble in that, and we talked about this a little bit, but I think it's super similar in that there's a lot of nonsense that's lumped in and it's called the same thing. Like there's a lot of things that are called crypto, and I guess technically they are. Just like during the .com bubble, like if you just put .com on your name, $100 million evaluation.
Yeah.
You're good to go. And I think a lot of that is happening, but what was the technology? What was the fundamental technology? Was the internet. And the internet changed the world in every single way imaginable. And I think that crypto, we're in the early stages of that, where it's going to change the world in every way imaginable. And there's going to be a lot of bad actors that are going to get revealed. But inevitably, just like Amazon dropped 90% 4 different times, just like Google dropped 90+% multiple times, PayPal, etc., all these companies rose from the ashes like a phoenix and now basically run the world. And I think that the same thing is going to be true for crypto. There's going to be the winners, and they're going to rise and be a part of and control everything.
Agreed.
DeFi is the way. I agree. Be your own bank. BYOB. That's the Sonic motto. It's not just a catchphrase. It means something to me. So that's what we're trying to create.
Do either of you hold dividend paying stocks? If so, recommendations, please. I have some,
I have
but
some too. My
yeah,
stock portfolio is super boring. Sorry, I cut you off. Go ahead,
yeah,
Alex.
no, I'm with you. I mean, like Walmart. I own Walmart. I think Walmart will survive and even do well during a recession because instead of shopping at Target, people are going to be shopping at Walmart in the United States. And I've bought a lot of metals miners, and I said this a little bit during my live streams, but if you think about gold as Bitcoin and metals miners as altcoins, gold dominance is through the roof right now. And there may be an alt season, but it's a much longer timeline. We're not talking about 4-year cycles. We're talking about I've bought these stocks with the intention of holding them for multiple years, expecting an alt season. So, yes.
I've started to put my company profits entirely into Bitcoin. Any thoughts? That's how I save my money. Traditional finance would say they would disagree with you, but that's what I believe in. I promise you on everything I love. My bank account right now, you would think I'm broke.
Yeah, me too.
I keep just enough to pay my bills, and then everything else I save in Bitcoin and crypto and precious metals.
I'll be honest, I'm not in love with putting company profits. I mean, well, all right, if you've been doing that for a while, sure, you just keep on doing that, fine. I'm not in love with it at this moment if you were to start doing it. But that's, Devin and I disagree on where the bear market bottom for Bitcoin is going to be. So if the bear market bottom is 50 to 60,000 and we're DCAing at 84,000, I'm not going to cry about that. I hope I hope that's the case. I hope that's what it is.
Yeah. I think that we're lucky. We'll be lucky to get to 50,000. Alex has a more bearish target of 30,000.
Yeah.
But I think that's going to be a while too. Personally, looking at the total 3 now, do you think we'll start to turn bullish in April for altcoins? I do think so. I think we do a 50% move for total 3 into May, at the end of the May. And by the way, here's just like a funny sort of, every time I go camping, the market breaks out type type thing. But one thing that has been true is most of the Bitcoin conferences have been local tops.
Oh, yeah.
And so the Bitcoin conference is May 27th, I believe. So I think we'll definitely have a rally into that.
Keep talking. I'm texting my wife something important right now.
Okay.
So,
what with the Trump Bitcoin reserves? He says nothing. Yeah. Listen, me and Alex are kind of just exhausted with that. It's talk. I'll believe it when I see some legislation being passed, some executive orders being signed. That's where I stand on that. Link hitting ADA. Link and ADA hitting retraced by May. I think that's very plausible. I think Link, that's what, $38? Yeah, that's very plausible. So you're saying 4-year cycle is done for Bitcoin? Let's get through May, because the 4-year cycle would be May, right? So when did we have altcoin? When did we have that huge rally? It was May. So if we get through May and there's no giant move, then I would say yes. If we don't, then I would say no.
I'm not. I mean, another thing, I'm not a huge believer in the 4-year cycle. Every time I talk about that, I get that same question. So you believe the 4-year cycle? Blah blah blah. I watched this video yesterday that made a compelling case that it's actually a 44-month cycle. So I'm processing that and trying to chew through that. And so the peak of that 44-month cycle, if that's the case, was in May of 2021. Now we did hit a new all-time high in the total altcoin market cap in November. And so, maybe we would see something like that. If that's the case, a 44-month cycle, peak of that would be, fast forward 4 years is December, January of 2025. December 2024, January 2025, and so just like in 2021, we peaked well after that. But we'll see.
My prediction is October, November is when peak euphoria is. That's been
yes, and my prediction. Go ahead.
That's been my thoughts since 2022.
Yeah.
So we'll see. But I will say, too, we talked about this a little bit. The 4-year cycle is not gospel. It's not the 10 Commandments and thou shalt not deviate from the 4-year. I don't believe that. I think it's a tool that you can use and you can reference. It's a piece to the bigger puzzle. If it's a Rubik's Cube of solving Bitcoin, it's one little square. The one that I actually personally put more weight on, way more weight, like if not double or triple, is the 7-year cycle, because we have 100 years of data with that. So the 7-year cycle to me is way, there's something more to that. And that would end on the next, if you're believing in the 4-year cycle, that would be the end of the next 4-year cycle, basically.
So, hey, I mean, the 44-month cycle instead of the 4-year cycle aligns more with the 7-year timeline. Just going to throw that out there.
Is it divisible better?
So, I mean, it's 4 months longer than 7 years. It's 7 years and 4 months, but I'll go on record again. I am even more convinced now that the end of 2025 is not going to be the peak of euphoria. And I apologize, and I want to be wrong, because I will be a multimillionaire if I'm wrong.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Solana looking like it's breaked out to a penny. Someone asked me about the partnership. The partnership will be revealed after 950 NFTs. They're half off right now. Lifetime access to my Telegram. What about the 18.6 year property cycle?
I'm not super familiar with that. I've seen some content talking about that, but I'm not informed enough to really comment on that.
Me neither. But I would say, again, it's a piece to the puzzle. If that's real, then it's a piece to the puzzle. It's not the entire puzzle. Everything is something. Nothing is everything.
Okay.
That's it.
Cool.
We got here. Price target for Teehee, still the same, 20 cents. The next run. Alex cannot give his targets on that.
I mean, eventually 20 cents for sure. I don't have a timing, timeline for that.
I think it's on the next major run. I think over the course of, knowing what I know about Alex, I think over the next course, of the decade, it's going to do far beyond that. But that's just into euphoria.
Yeah.
Have your predictions changed on your value list? No, not really. I'm considering putting Crow as only a retracement now rather than euphoria.
Yeah.
Which I think is what, 69 cents? I don't remember. But I think it's more probable that they go to a retracement rather than euphoria price discovery. But we'll see. I mean, I've seen plenty of bad stuff happen. Plenty of stuff bad happen. So that's about 50 to 69 cents. Somewhere in that range would be retracement, which is still, it's like a 10 plus X. I've seen plenty of terrible stuff, terrible news be just fine, because there's nothing like price to change sentiment. If tomorrow Crow makes a yearly high, guess what? We're going to be bullish on Crow, and that's just how it goes.
Sure thing. So I'm crossing that out on my price prediction spreadsheet. I put $1.80, but that was before these shenanigans. So no, thank you. That's not happening.
What happened to Crow? They unburned like 70 billion tokens.
Yeah.
that's not even possible in crypto. It means that they never burned it. So that means that they're, um, doing some shady activities. And I will say too, like one thing that I always measure the strength of a project by is what are they doing when times suck. And I can remember in 2021, Crow was awesome because you got your staking and you got your credit card rewards and all this stuff. And what happened in the bear market? All that went away. So the chart still looks fine as long as it holds this level right here. I think it's still fine, but I'm just saying I think there's a higher probability of a retracement rather than a price discovery. It's still possible, but I think that there's a much higher probability, and I will be de-risking my Crow position more aggressively at retracement levels rather than price discovery. I'll probably hold maybe 30% to price discovery. I'll probably sell 70% at the retracement levels.
Yeah. Did they mint more? How do you unburn? Do you know the answer to that?
Well, I would say that they didn't burn it.
Yeah.
That's what I think happened, which is shady. Just call it a burn when you didn't burn it. They sent it to a wallet that was supposed to be a burn wallet, but it wasn't, and they had access to it, and that's not a burn. I send it to a different wallet.
Crypto, man.
So I don't like that. That's definitely not good. That's I don't know that it's going to affect the price really, to be honest with you, but just from a fundamental perspective, I'm like, that makes me distrust you. That's why I received 70 million in my wallet. Yeah, pretty much. That's why. What do you think most non-inflation coins will retrace by May 2025? That's possible, probable. I'm definitely looking. I like non-inflation coins. Someone said I made a deep dive video on Solnic, and I said all of the circulating supply is done. And someone commented on the video like, that's bad news. I'm like, how is not fighting against inflation bad news?
Yeah, seriously.
Like, I didn't know if they were trolling me or if they were serious. But yeah, that's why I've been bearish on SUI since November.
Yeah. So I'm just pulling up a different chart than gold Dow Jones.
How can it not affect the price? I've just seen so many things that eat with moo. There's nothing like price changes sentiment. And so what I'm saying to you is this is terrible fundamentally. But if Crow makes a yearly high, guess what? We're going to forget all about it. Just like Solana at $10, $20, the network kept main net kept going down where you couldn't use it. And that to me is the worst. That's the biggest sin you can have in crypto. But guess what? We forgot all about it when they made a new all-time high. And I think that's what's going to happen with Crow.
Timmy is on ski, wants to know why you blocked him. LOL. I have no idea who Timmy is. This is the life of a content creator. Who's Timmy?
Okay. I don't know. I haven't blocked anyone. Probably one of the mods blocked.
No, yeah. I mean, it's somebody on my comment section saying that there's a guy named Timmy in your comment section who wants to know why I blocked him. Is it Tim Sanity? If so, I don't think maybe that was an accident. If it's Tim Sanity, let me know.
The only people that I block is the people who like the bot scammers who comment like, I block all those people. But other than that, I don't really block anybody. Sometimes the mods will block people if they're, just being crazy haters. But yeah, usually it's deserved. Sometimes I gotta unblock someone, but they do a pretty good job.
Do you think XRP, Solana, in both could pass ETH in this bull cycle? You pointed out to Solana right now, right? Or XRP is pretty close to Ethereum. It's not super far away.
Yeah. So no, it's within striking distance right now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now I think so right now XRP it's dropped a little bit. It was up to 200 plus billion. but right now it's 138 and Ethereum is 235. I think that Ethereum is way more oversold right now, so I don't think it's going to happen this cycle.
Yeah.
But it wouldn't shock me. But I would be shocked by the next cycle if Ethereum is still number 2. I would be shocked, literally.
Yeah, me too. Literally shocked. Okay.
Yeah, like electrocuted, shocked. Yeah, yeah. I don't think. I think XRP is probably a prime candidate, but Solana is not that far away either. Solana's at 64 billion, so that's really like a triple. But again, I think Ethereum, as much crap as I talk about Ethereum, I think it's extremely oversold, and I think it's going to perform well. And I think it goes to price discovery, and we're going to figure it all about Ethereum gas fees in the peak euphoria.
You might. I won't.
I won't either.
Gas fees are going to be insane.
General question for the whole space: why are revenues really discussed? What do you mean? Why are revenues discussed?
Rarely. Why are revenues rarely discussed? Is that the question?
Yes.
Okay. That's a thing. That's an issue. Okay. That's why I would say, we're in the .com stage of crypto. I talk about revenues a fair amount, and there are very few cryptos that actually make money. Like Algorand, they boast all these amazing transaction numbers. They make like hundreds of dollars a day, but then there are some that do make money. Ethereum makes a lot of money. Solana makes a lot of money. Tron makes a lot of money. And so those are the ones that I think have some staying power in some regard. I mean, Ethereum, we have talked about Ethereum's AOL. But yeah, I really do care about the ones that make money for sure.
Yeah, that's your life. That's your life vest. If you view cryptos, these altcoins, if you view them as companies,
yeah,
and start evaluating them like that, like if Nvidia was losing money, would you be like, oh my god, this is bullish?
Yeah, exactly. And again, the way that they make money right now is by inflating their supply by insane amounts, like Sui, like HBAR, like Algorand. And eventually, if I were in charge of any of those, I would be like, okay, you know what? We're going to start making money through transactions. We're gonna make money by not inflating our supply by insane amounts.
Yeah, I think that's a good question. I think that's a healthy place to be, analyzing the cryptos for especially long term. Are they making money? Because if they're not making money, they're not going to survive.
Yeah.
When's Solana going to 1 cent? It could happen tonight. It's up 67% this week. I don't know. I don't care. My time horizon is decades, not days.
Yeah.
Eventually it'll get to 1 cent. Eventually it'll get to 10 cents. Eventually it'll get to $1. Eventually it'll get to $10 because I'll keep making it better. Think about what we've accomplished in 13 months. And now give me 13 years. So, is Cardano making money?
No.
Nope. Oh, there you go. All right, guys. We're going to wrap that up for this time. It's been a good show. Make sure you guys like, subscribe, follow Alex on YouTube, TikTok, Twitter. Follow me on YouTube, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram. I will never message you first. I'll let you take the joke this time.
If either of us mess you, it's somebody from Pakistan, Afghanistan, Turkmenistan, Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan, Tajikistan, or Kyrgyzstan, or Kakistan.
Lemonade stand, Lakers in 5.
Here we go. Lakers in 5. What are you talking about? All right.
Pakistan, Gakistan, lemonade stand, Lakers in 5. The sports people know that joke.
Shut up, Webb.
All right,
I'm sorry.
guys.
There's this guy, Webb. Shut up, Webb. Shut up. Okay, go ahead.
All right, guys. That's going to be it for this time. Peace, love, prosperity. God first. God bless. Out.